Okay. Howard, I
Oh,
don't know.
Lord, here we
I
go.
don't- Whatever.
All
I
right.
don't know if it was 95 or 96. I had said in my mind it was 96, but it may have been 95 when I first met you.
You were
And
just a baby.
Yeah,
pretty
of
much.
course I was just a baby in 95. I was probably about 5 years old.
Probably.
But
Slightly more, but go ahead. So in 95 we met. I think it was 95.
I'm going to say 95. So I just know
To
where
make it around
was.
30 years.
And I love to tell this story. It really kind of reflects on who you
are.
No, who you are.
Your struggles.
And well,
Because obviously it's something that's been burdening your heart for a long time.
It also reflects on the nature of our relationship in this work and just as friends. So I'm brand new, an intern, not even a graduate intern.
I thought you were a Vista worker or something.
I was. It had to be 95.
Yeah.
So I was with United Housing at the time and United Way, but doing some work with other community development corporations. So I was 2572, the Orange Mound Community Center, Verde Sales. I come to the counter, because I've been trained how to work. And as you walk in the door, I don't know who you are. And I say, hi, welcome to the Orange Mound Development Corporation. How may I help you? You don't say anything to me. You look behind me, and the man that's behind me, Eddie, you say, who that? And so that's kind of how we met. Did I get that right?
You pretty much got that right. I think you're messing with the reason I did that, though.
Why did you do that?
I mean, I didn't know you. No, I'm just kidding. I came to see Eddie, right? So I came to see Eddie, and I knew who Eddie was, and it was my sort of icebreaker with you.
Okay.
I knew you looked like you were probably 18 years old at the time. I'm sure you were older, just out of college, and I knew you were an intern / Vista worker, and I was just giving you a hard time, like I do now. I mean,
you give me a hard time.
It was just my way of saying what's up and trying to.
So that didn't change in 30 years. So we were in Orange Mound, and Howard, out of all of the people in community development, I was in Orange Mound at the time. I was there for about a decade. But you've been in Orange Mound forever, your whole life. And so I really kind of want to talk about that when we talk about bridging Memphis and neighborhoods and loving our neighbors. What's kept you at home?
Well, I mean, it's the need primarily is what's kept me focused there. I mean, I've been all over the city. I've been fortunate enough to be a part of a number of initiatives or opportunities that have been successful or effective, but I've never forgotten Orange Mound, where I grew up and where I came from. So earlier in my experience as a community developer or nonprofit executive or whatever we were called, I've always done stuff in Orange Mound, or initially I was doing stuff in Orange Mound through other folk, like the Orange Mound Development Corporation and the Orange Mound Collaborative. So I was giving my time that way, and then finally I got an opportunity to be more direct. But when I met you in 1995, when you were 12, it was our effort to try to support the work of OMDC at the time.
Yeah, so going back to that time, so 95, the Orange Mound Development Corporation was about 4 years old. It had grown up out of a national initiative by the Ford Foundation. In Orange Mound, from the time you were a child, was expanded. So there wasn't the original Orange Mound because Ford Foundation needed it to match the other cities in terms of its density of population. And so let's kind of talk about, and I'm going to jump back because I think you're underestimating the time you were really in Orange Mound, because I think we could talk about Young Life and some other things at Melrose. But at the time when you were working with OMDC, you were with
Memphis Leadership Foundation and neighborhood housing opportunities.
So the capacity that NHO was serving with us was as contractor.
General contractor.
Yeah. And so
we if you recall, we did a little bit of consultancy with Eddie and with OC at the time. I think he was engaged.
He was the chair.
Clifton.
It was Clifton Harris probably before. So the original executive director of the Orange Mound Development Corporation was Clifton Harris, who's a good friend now in Nashville area. And then Eddie came on as interim. And so you kept that work going. And then even with me later on, we did a number, and I don't know the number, new houses that you all built with us, and you did some great rehabs. And I don't think people know y'all for doing a lot of rehabs.
We try to avoid those, but
Yeah, y'all did some great rehabs.
we'll do them if there's somebody else's, I like to say. So,
So you had a staff person that was serving kind of as general contractor. But you said your engagement in work was with OMDC, but I tend to think it dates back probably, you were in high school, right, when you were...
Yeah, I went to Melrose. I went to the only high school in the city. I mean, the only high school in Orange Mound for sure. But
Yes,
certainly we
definitely
like to think
just
of
in
ourselves
Orange Mound.
proudly of being one of the most prolific high schools, if that's the right word to use for a high school. But we've done everything. I just found out we had 11 or 12 pro football players that come out of Melrose. So we that and other history.
Too,
oh yeah,
and some other sports.
And then there was me, class of '80.
Yeah.
First of the '80s, I might add.
Yeah.
We will succeed. That was our motto. It's amazing. I can still remember that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went to Melrose, went to Hanley. I'm a 6-year Melrose grad, so I went to
7 through 12.
7th through 12th, and then I went to Hanley Elementary for 5 years. And then busing came my 6th grade year. Went out to Colonia for a brief period, and so yeah, my roots are deep.
You were part of Plan B, probably. I was Plan Z with the. No, you may have been a part of Plan B also.
You always been smarter than me. I don't know what you're talking about. Plan B, that could mean anything these days.
That was the school system's code name, I guess, for this busing.
For this trial and error thing.
Archie's older than both of us, and he was Plan B. You know, his father, of course, was instrumental in the integration.
Right.
But I think we were probably Plan B when we were bused away from our neighborhoods. But yeah, you were already doing some work, even in high school.
Well, I started in high school as a volunteer with Young Life. So my life was radically impacted through the work of Young Life. And so as a senior in high school, somebody came, I think it was Larry Lloyd or somebody came up with the idea that we could be involved with middle school kids. And we were crazy. They were crazy to put us in charge of a middle school. And the school was crazy for letting us in, but we did some great work. In fact, I started over at Snowden Middle School, Snowden Junior High, and still have some of those relationships intact today.
That's nice. That's nice. And so that kind of leads more into depth into your neighborhood work. You know, so Orange Mound, Young Life. You went away, I guess, to school. You didn't go away to school.
Went to my first year. I went to Mid-South Bible College, also known as Crichton, and transferred over to Memphis State. Where I finished. I squeezed 4 years into 11 years at Memphis State.
You squeezed 4 years
squeezed them
into
in,
But you were working that whole time.
Oh yeah.
You were working so you were you with MLF at the time?
I was by the time I finished, I was with MLF in 1991. I started when I was on Young Life staff. I started as a part-timer / student staffer in 1981. But I started college in 1980, the year I graduated. I had no idea I was going to college, but it was through the mentorship and relationships I had with Larry Lloyd, who was founder and president of the Memphis Leadership Foundation, and also the urban director of Young Life at the time. We had a good relationship. My plan was to go to the military like my brother, who called, ROTC was my thing in high school. So he called and said, or wrote and said, you probably ought to figure something else out. Military isn't probably your best option. So at that point I said, I'm not going to work. And so college was the only option my parents gave me that I didn't have to go get a real job.
Okay. Okay. When did you become involved with Mr. Fred Davis?
Well, when in high school.
Okay.
Mr. Davis was our sponsor, baseball team sponsor. It's hard to get somebody to sponsor your baseball team in high school. So he was our sponsor through other connections, and Larry brought him to the table, even though he lived in Orange Mound. And he just sort of took us under his wings, and I took that relationship over time through other mentors in my life, like Larry and Eli, and there's a guy named Verley Sangster, Rudy Howard. All of them really trusted Mr. Davis's wisdom and guidance, and he ushered a lot of the work that we were doing, including Christ Community Health Services, economic opportunities, and some other efforts to respond to the needs of under-resourced men and women who live in neighborhoods like Orange Mound. So he just helped us open the door at churches and at schools.
Yeah, we'll fight about our relationship with Mr. Davis in a minute, because that generally leads to some kind of like sibling rivalry.
Well,
thing.
I was a surrogate son, so
I was his other daughter.
Oh, well,
we'll talk about that in a minute.
Well, he needed one because of Sheila.
Don't do that. He has two daughters. He had two daughters. And so let's talk about over the years. So Young Life, NHO. What else has happened in Orange Mound in leading up to what you're doing right now?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, the idea, Larry and I, through the Memphis Leadership Foundation, developed a program called Urban Youth Initiative, which was a significant, I'll call it saturation / investment of resources into every urban school in the city of Memphis. So we were hiring staff for churches and then training them to do the work that we were doing from a missional outreach perspective, to try to be holistic in our intention. During that course of time, all of these people came either on the foundation staff or associated with us through Urban Youth Initiative, and then we were deploying them in different communities. And Orange Mound was one all over North Memphis and Fraser.
In South Memphis.
Westwood, every school. Churches, we were able to fund churches for a 3-year period, the cost of having an outreach staff person, which a lot of urban churches, a lot of inner city churches don't have the resources to do. And so not only did we provide the resource of money, but we also provided training.
Yeah, I
to
guess
that
that's
staff
how
person.
I met James at St. Andrew.
James Armsville? Yeah. I think we had created MAM along about then, Memphis Athletic Ministries, which was an idea of an investor of ours, that the Memphis Leadership Foundation, one of the things we did as a foundation was to put wheels on the ideas of other people. So he came to us with an idea of starting soccer in the inner city, because not a lot of urban kids were playing soccer, and he thought, since he had played and really loved the game, that it would be a great way to team build and do some other stuff. And more importantly, it gave us entree into the schools. Yeah. So we started MAM. It morphed into the whole basketball and sports in general, but we developed For the Kingdom Camp and Retreat Center, which is another expression of our work out in Raleigh. It's now a 100-acre camping and event center, if you will, that's been around now for over 20 years. MAM has been around for 30 years or so. So after, fast forward a bunch of years, when I turned 50 a few years ago, I know you're not 50 yet.
Please, I'm over 50.
You're barely 50. So when I turned 50, it was time for me to roll out as the president and CEO of the foundation, Memphis Leadership Foundation. And through Urban Youth Initiative, we had created what's called Red Zone Memphis, or Red Zone Ministries. And I wanted to take that piece and really just overlay it from a global perspective to a local perspective in Orange Mound. So that's what I was able to do. I was able to do what we were doing at Memphis Leadership Foundation on a global level in the city, on a local level in Orange Mound. So housing was important, economic development was important, and of course youth leadership was important.
Yeah, so you can continue to do the housing, and Red Zone is a beautiful facility on Park Avenue. And so, Howard, I mean, the theme here, one of the themes here is this work seems like it's ministry for you.
Well, it's more than seems like, Roshun.
It is
ministry.
your ministry.
It is a calling for sure.
I relate to that, because I view this work as ministry for me, myself, and not just a passion, but it's based in my faith tradition.
Right, of course.
Of loving my neighbors. So let's talk a little bit about, we were talking when we were walking in about your soft heart. I don't think most people think of you as having a soft heart. We were talking about tenants.
You may want to ask Dee. Maybe you should ask my wife and people who work with me about that. I don't know.
No, I mean, I know you have this shell, but you really have this soft heart. Some things you allow, I won't even allow, and I'm viewed as kind of soft.
Well, we're compassionate. How about that?
That's what
we're compassionate with people we serve.
Yeah.
Sometimes, we don't want to do harm by doing good.
That's right.
So we're working hard to try to figure out a balance, try to figure out some boundaries. And one of the things I get to do is I get to know the people who rent from us. This is on the housing side. And there's a downside to that, right?
Yeah, so it's up and down.
When the whole purpose of I think we've built 42 houses in Orange Mound since we started Red Zone. So the idea was to create a continuum of care, which we've always talked about in the work that we've done. How do we start with young people or the kids in the family, and then get access to the parents? Mm-hmm. And so that's what the housing was for. But the youth ministry is designed to push kids who need housing to NHO Management, which is a property management company we started, so that they can have a decent, safe, quality, affordable house to live in, and then we have them come to Red Zone as well. So it's hard to put out or evict a family whose kids you've known for 4 or 5 years. That's right. We get there if we have to, and it's unfortunate. And thanks to the work that you've done and are doing around the city, we've been able to salvage or otherwise prevent some FEDs, forced evictions, as a result of the work that you're doing and the investment that you're making or the resources that you're gathering. That has been a blessing to us. That's you mean the rental assistance money. Yeah.
And so, you have some who would believe that it's, our goal as landlords, and it may be some landlords' goal, mm-hmm. is to evict people, and it's the last. We don't have any goal of evicting anyone. And I tell people my tendency is, if you have a payment issue, mm-hmm. I can work with you. Yeah. We will figure that out, even if we're providing that assistance to you. Mm-hmm. But if it's other issues that are life and safety that would cause us to probably evict someone if you're endangering the environment for all of your neighbors.
And the best thing we've tried to do is to avoid that. We're very intentional, and we scrutinize our applicants as best we can to try to understand who we're getting. Mm-hmm. But one of the things I've realized as long as we've been doing this is that kids grow up, and they were babies when they were renting, when they first came into the unit, and then they grow up. And not only just rental unit, but houses we've sold. Yeah. And so that's why the continuum of care, that's why the engagement at every level is important, to try to help parents and adults steward that or manage that.
Yeah, that's so critical. Hard. I think often programs that are youth-facing, we take people's kids and think, we're going to save them and mm-hmm. they're going to move away, but they have to go home. Yeah. And so that means that if we're not touching the entire family and addressing the family's needs, mm-hmm. I say with little kids, they do some great project at your camp or whatever, mm-hmm. and they go home and the mother's like, what is that? I don't care, and tear it up. Mm-hmm. Because we're not addressing whatever trauma or mental health issues that mother has. And I know we can't do it all. Mm-hmm. We brought a caseworker on, your fellow classmate, actually. Ooh. I think, Marshall.
Oh, yeah.
She's your classmate from Melrose, mm-hmm. Orange Mound.
She's a year older than me, though.
Oh, so a year older. But she still was. Y'all were there at the same time. And so, but brought her on. She's just finished her degree in social work to really kind of address the needs, because we can't just be this. We're not just regular landlords. Mm-hmm. That doesn't deal with the issues. We get those midnight, like us individually, mm-hmm. as the president of our organizations.
You don't like those calls.
Get late night calls. Yeah. And so, we're in the food space, so we add on to that. So we're mm-hmm. bringing, I may get a call from the management company and say, this family is hungry. So that means tell us what their dietary restrictions are, tell mm-hmm. us their needs, so we can pack groceries for a week. that we're giving to this family. So we're not just giving them a box of what we want them to have. We're giving them what they want. Because I would want the same thing for me and my family.
Right.
And so.
And I think that's why it's important that we know the people we serve. You can meet felt, and Marshall will know this now since she finished her social work degree. You're meeting the felt need, you know.
Yeah.
So how do you understand it is by understanding the people you serve and who you are coming alongside. And so what I stress to people who are working alongside of me is how do we avoid the toxic nature of charity?
Yeah.
How do we avoid hurting people when we're trying to help people? So I have author friends who have written books to that effect, but they make the point is we can be toxic in our desire to help people. We can be overbearing. We do bring some complexes to the table because we know what's best for people based on our own life experiences.
That's the worst. Yeah. I tell some of the other younger people, and I talk about Seth Harkin and Jared when he was at the Heights, because they have some faith traditions or some institutions behind the organization. I said, please don't be the missionaries that kill all the Africans when they go in. And so,
or bring the disease with them.
Yeah, they bring everything. They bring them smallpox blankets, and it's all that wasn't all well-meaning, but they're well-intentioned. They're not trying to harm, but you also bring everything that you have with you. Right. You bring your own personal trauma, your own personal experiences from your family to the table, your own personal biases. And so we are always looking at that. Like, let me step back. Well, did I bring this to the table? Did I bring anger from whatever happened to me, and they had nothing to do with it? So let me step back, go in my office, find something to laugh about, smile, and then come back and say to this person, hey, I didn't sleep with you last night. Let me deal with you in a different way.
Yeah, I can't say that. Maybe you can get away with saying that. My reputation would be you don't take anything seriously, with the residents. And it's because I've had to manage myself when I was a child, dealing with the adversities that are associated with living below poverty or at poverty, or living in an under-resourced reality. And so what I try to tell people is I know what it's like not to have air.
That's right.
For
or
a minute.
Food or quality housing.
Yeah, and we weren't as bad off as some of my friends were in terms of not having food or coming home with the lights off. But I grew up with young people who did, and often I would go to their house and they didn't have lights on. Or we had you had pest control
y'all
issues.
were richer than me.
We were slight, maybe, I don't know. All I know
there
is
were some times that we didn't have lights, and I did my homework on the porch because I've always been a nerd.
Never.
And so I think that's unique for us too in this industry in Memphis. Howard, maybe that's why we get along so well. Our backgrounds, our own familiar backgrounds, and having lived in poverty. My family was very faithful, but my father got ill, and so my mother had 5 little girls to take care of.
It's 5 of y'all?
It's 5.
What do you fit in that birth order?
3, middle.
That explains it. That explains
a lot.
Explains why you think you're the best.
I am the best.
I was out doing the other 2.
I'm in charge. I had 2 on either side. I'm the scale that balances everything out.
Yeah. I'm sure they bleed that too.
Yeah, I am. I was daddy's girl, but I think we bring that, not just compassion, the faith. We bring our own experiences to the table, and I don't want certain things that I experience to be experienced by other people.
Speaking of your mom, I work with your mom a little bit too.
I know you work with my mom because my mom, that ministry, that faithfulness, that people work. It was in her from her mother.
Yeah, was it Greater Harvest?
She was a member of Greater Harvest. That's the church I grew up in, Greater Harvest Church.
That's the one you got put out. Didn't they excommunicate? No,
nobody
I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
No, and so so my friend my pastor's son is now the pastor of Greater Harvest, but my mom had a nonprofit Choice for many years, and she did do a lot of work with Memphis Leadership Foundation.
Good leadership.
Yeah,
you got it honestly. I didn't get to meet your dad, I don't think, but
my dad was very ill, but he was a giving person. He walked the streets of Smoky City in Klondike, witnessing.
He's a brave man too.
He was brave. He was a carpenter of
Okay.
all things, so he was very humble. But when he was not ill, he was out giving. He probably gave more away than my mother.
Mm-hmm.
He would bring people home to feed, and we were hungry. That was just the nature of my parents and my mother's parents.
That's the village nature. I mean, that's what happens in communities like Smoky City and Hyde Park.
Even
and
now,
all of those
even
neighborhoods.
now, our apartment communities, we see people. The whole idea of a cup of sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Borrowing an egg, people think that that didn't go away in neighborhoods. Our residents are still borrowing sugar.
And at least we are encouraging them to. Some of them will put up walls and fences. And they don't want to deal with their neighbor because of some insecurities around who sees what they got, and if something comes up, somebody breaks into my house, you had to see it.
Yeah.
Well, when that happened when we were kids, if the burglar knew that if somebody saw him, that we were going to tell it, or we were going to stop them from doing it. So now you got this whole selfish, protective, which is justified because so much is happening in the context of living in the communities where we serve. But yeah, borrowing a cup of sugar or borrowing an egg was certainly a thing that brought communities together, and I think we need to continue to encourage folks to do that.
I think older people in our communities tend to do that more often, and so part of our work is also about social interaction and helping to build community.
I agree.
Or rebuild community, because sometimes we have lost that.
Right. We have.
So where do we go from here in Memphis in this
I don't know. I'm so proud.
building?
I'm proud of what you're doing. I mean, I like to tell people I know you, and I literally tell people I had something to do with it.
You
but
did.
I know that's
You
not
did.
totally true.
You absolutely did.
But,
you were one of my
yeah.
earlier mentors in community development in Memphis. I mean, I was brand new to this, and anthropologist. What did I know about building? Number one.
You were smart. That's for sure.
Yeah, I could read, but I didn't know anything about building outside of what I saw my dad do because he was in the industry, but he didn't know the technical. I mean, he knew carpentry, but he didn't know the development side of it, pulling the financing together.
That's a lot, and I don't know how you demystify that whole dynamic or that whole paradigm of doing the work that we do. It is a heavy lift. And I think that as practical as, and I'm grateful for the city of Memphis that invests heavily into housing, into other areas of community development, but I'm also grateful for folk like you and in the Seth Harkins of the world and the Jareds of the world and all those folk who are out there making it happen every day and keep hitting their head against the wall until they can figure it out. And at some point they penetrate it and Seth has done a couple houses.
He's done some great work. I mean, we share in this industry. So they're using a contractor I introduced them to. Frazier's using the same contractor. We tend to do that.
Oh, yeah.
We find a group of contractors or vendors. We start using, because at the time you were doing a lot of houses for CDCs at NHL. You were doing the earliest houses of the works. You did those houses and Orange Mound, and you probably were doing something with United Housing too.
We did a few for United Housing, but we got out front earlier in the game back in the Hackett administration.
Oh wow!
So we go back to that, and then we also were fortunate enough to have a builder who became our general contractor. So NHO technically carries the general contractor's license, but he wanted to be on our staff, and so and that comes from years of relationships, of having friends who did this and say, hey man, why don't you come over here and do this? We can't pay you what you were making over there, but we will take away your headache of running a business, which he was having as a general as a subcontractor who owned a framing company. And we said, we'll take all that away. We'll just work. Yeah, we'll take all the back office, and which is what the foundation really did. I think few people know this, and you may know it, that neighborhood housing opportunities was actually the brainchild of Monroe and Joanne Ballard.
Oh yeah, I didn't.
So yeah, they came up with the idea, and then and the foundation took it on. Tommy Westbrook was our first.
I knew
director.
that. I knew that.
Tommy
and
was fun.
Oh God, there's so many memories. So now we can fight about Mr. Davis.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I don't know if we really got to fight. I think he was a large enough figure that we could share.
Yeah.
You had him first and longest, but he stepped in, and one of my memories was between him and Mr. Bolts, and they were fighting over me, and Dr. Kirk. It was just such a strong system of leaders in Orange Mound. My dad died, and the very next day I had I guess a groundbreaking for Commons at Brentwood. Well, at the time it was Waverly Place Apartments. And I remember them fighting over, I'm your daddy now. Like, so all y'all can be my daddy. I was like, oh.
Let's do what daddies do.
Do what daddies
Yeah.
do. And so Mr. Davis was integral in my learning because he was a financial whiz. People would think of him just an insurance, a counsel person, but he was a whiz. And he was passing those financial tests until his death.
Right.
And so, I think we could share him.
Yeah, I think he would appreciate that. And Josephine or Mrs. Davis was certainly
she was a mathematician.
Somebody I would lean on when I couldn't get to him. But both of them took my kids on and took on Dee Dee when Dee Dee moved to Memphis as a surrogate mom and as a surrogate grandparent, and they became friends with my in-laws, which was amazing that they would, and they had a lot in common in terms of being people their age who went to college and finished college and
were
very successful people. They chose to remain in Orange Mound.
Yeah,
which
they
was
never left
incredible.
Pendleton.
Yeah, so that was lots of lessons taught to people all across. Miss Davis was on the national board of Young Life, and they wouldn't even let him move off because they would break the rules and say, okay, you can stay on another term.
That was him.
Because we need your balance and we need your truth telling. We need your, he had the ability to say things in such a way that even if they were tough, people got it at the end of the day. So even when he had to confront me on hard stuff, I was like, okay, well, you ain't my real daddy. But it needed to be done, and he treated me like a son to the day he left this earth, and she treated me like a son as well. So great folk. And I drive by their house every day, and I can't help but look over there.
I the same. So, I don't drive every day, but I look over there. Thanks, Howard. We could talk for hours as we usually do. All right, well,
lunch is always on order, so
lunch is always.
Don't forget that.
Dinner,
put me down.
Drinks,
put me down.
All those things. And so we can continue this conversation, but about community development, and maybe we'll do it again.
Well, thanks for having me this time. Appreciate it.
Thanks for showing up. Yeah. You always show up for me.
Just all you gotta do is call, and it's gonna be a price though. At some point.
I'll buy you a drink.
All right.
All right.